Hi, I'm Tom Field, Senior Vice President of Editorial with Information Security Media Group. I'm talking about international regulations for cybersecurity, and it's my pleasure to be speaking with Patricia Peck. She's an attorney in Brazil who specializes in regulations in cybersecurity. Patricia, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you, Tom.
So before we sat down here, you told me that the one gap that you see is in international regulations regarding cybersecurity. Talk with me about that a little.
Yes, indeed, Tom. Right now, we see the development of internet. So far, it's like in a broad space in an economy, more globalized one. But when it goes to cybersecurity efforts, we can see that we are dealing with internet with national regulations, and that means that we are having trouble to fight back the cyber criminals, because we really should develop a international regulation regarding that. Put all together all the countries to speak and combine international treaty regarding cyber regulation on cyber security.
Instead, we see Europe's GDPR, we see Brazil's privacy legislation, we see California in the US. It's all pockets, but you don't see a collaborative effort.
Yeah, that's the point, because internet's borderless. And when we have to catch these criminals, and we have to follow the data and go using this witness, that new witness is the machine that can watch everything and know everything that's happening, so that can have this data flow all over the world in very fast. And the authorities are limited to these jurisdictions, national jurisdictions. So this approach on national regulation are limiting our reaction, our fast reaction to deal with this problem. And also maybe they are building some conflicts on having to harmonize all these regulations. GDPR have problems with Cloud Act of the United States, and the Cloud Act of the United States now have a conflict with the Bacen regulation on cybersecurity and cloud use for financial institutions in Brazil. So besides, we should not waste our time on having to manage all these conflicts among regulations, different regulations, and focus on using the time with only one regulation, a 3-to-1 international one.
We could learn a lot from our adversaries because they're not bound by jurisdiction.
That's true, and they are not wasting time writing laws. You know, they are just on the plan. They are acting. We need more action, and wasting less time on just writing new regulations. We need just one good regulation that could look to internet and absorb this international culture and nature of internet.
Patricia, you expressed to me a concern about forensic evidence and how organizations are preserving evidence of a cybercrime. What are your issues there?
Actually, in Brazil, we see that in many cases that we know who is doing something that is an infraction. We are unable to punish that person because of an absence of collecting good quality of electronic evidence. This e-discovery is still so far not very developed and should be. So also it's something to be done, and maybe a good regulation or best practice on that, even soft law regarding that, and training the authorities and the police and all the actors on fighting the cybercrime to how present this evidence before court. And that should be introduced even at universities. Law school university in Brazil, you don't have a class on that a student should be studying how to ask a machine who did what in the internet, how to collect this evidence from a electronic machine. And we are going to use artificial intelligence, and we are going to smart cities scenario with IoT and all that. So how come somebody that comes from university right now don't learn anything about how do a bear collecting this digital evidence to present to court? So that's a big issue. Otherwise, you know who did, but you cannot punish the person.
So Patricia, I've got to let you go because you've got to go on stage
Yes,
to
that's
present.
true.
Let me ask you this, if there's one single point that you want to make with the audience today, what's that?
I would say we are very good on working on making laws, but we should be teaching about them and educating the citizens how to protect themselves to combat better the cybercrime. It's how governments in all countries should put together this international campaign on cybersecurity, and should be something that the industry, the technology industry, should have that as an obligation. They should have this as a way to, if you have to put some app right now at a digital store in the internet, it should be together, not with just the tools for prevent problems like virus or whatever, but also something related to education. So it's using technology to protect people, but also education to protect people.
I look forward to seeing you on stage. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
I've been talking with Patricia Peck for Information Security Media Group. I'm Tom Field. Thank you very much.